Multiplication is just fast addition. This is a quick video on how to teach multiplication facts to kindergartners, first graders, second graders, whatever. Let's see. Here's a multiplication pivot table. You can show this to the kids at first, let them read it out loud, show them the idea of multiplying numbers by each other, let them find the intersecting cells for two numbers, like 9 times 6 is 54, things like that. You can ask them multiplication facts and teach them how to find the intersecting cell, and they could actually read it out loud as an answer key just to get them accustomed to the concept of multiplication. After they get the idea, you can use a blank multiplication table and have them fill it out just by using their knowledge of addition. First, horizontally, and then after they've done it a few times that way, then they can fill it out vertically. Pretty soon they'll figure out that it's quicker to fill it out both horizontally and vertically for the ones that you know off the top of your head. The quickest multiplication facts that kids will gravitate to will be the zeros, the ones, twos, fives, and tens, because those have generally the easiest they're the easiest to remember and the most basic rules. We're going to teach you a bunch of tricks here. Use your fingers and some general rules as tricks, but it's important to remember that tricks are just a temporary substitute for memorization. Just like reading, at first you learn to sound out the words, and phonemic decoding is just a substitute for pattern recognition. Okay, so the zeros and the ones are an important foundation. You shouldn't be overlooked for the younger kids. It's important for them to remember that anything times 0 or 0 times anything is always going to be 0. Anything times 1 or 1 times anything is always going to be the number you're factoring by 1. You got to go over that again and again with them because they'll start to get the concept down, whereas it might be obvious to older kids who are learning multiplication facts for the first time. The twos, it's simply doubling the number, so anything times 2 is the number plus itself. And then fives, which the kids are probably already counting by fives in kindergarten or first grade, and you can teach them to count it on their fingers, 5, 10, 15, 20, and so on. The important thing to remember is when they get up to 11 and 12 is that they go back to the first hand, and that's 11, which is 55, and 12, which is 60, things like that. The next is the 10 rule, to put a 0 at the end of the number. It's a very basic rule, but it's good to reinforce that with the kids. It plays a role in doing 11s and 12s and things like that later on. Okay, the next is the 11 rule, and this is something you can use the printed out pivot table for. It's 11 multiplication up till 9, and if you show them that 11 times 1 is 11, then 22, then 33, and count it out in your hands, 44, 55, they'll get the concept that you're not doubling the number per se, but you're putting the number in twice, and that works up till 99. 11 times 10 is using the 10 rule, and 11 times 11 and 12 you got to use another kind of rule. Okay, the 9 rule is the first instance where you're going to use an actual finger trick, and this is a really neat finger trick. It's been around forever. What you do is you lay out all 10 fingers, and your left hand pinky is the number 1. Your right hand pinky, I don't know if you can see this, is the number 10. And whatever number you're factoring by 9, you will hide. So for example, if I want to multiply 9 by 3, I hide my third finger, and the numbers to the left of my hidden finger that are still upright, those represent the tens over here, and the numbers to the right of my hidden finger represent the units. So 9 times 3 is 27, okay? And the same is true, 9 times 4 is 36, 45, 54, 63, 72, 81, and 90. It's a great mathematic finger trick. Once you teach it to your kids, they will want to they'll want to do their 9s times tables all the time. They want you to quiz you on them because it's really an easy trick. It's very reliable. It's very easy to learn, and I guess we teach it to our kids right after we did the 10s and the 11s. All right, what comes next is the 12 multiplication, which is just basically breaking down the 12 into a 10 and a 2. So whatever you're multiplying by 12, first you multiply by 10 and then you add it to a 2. So 3 times 12 is actually 3 times 10 plus 3 times 2. And it helps if they've done some vertical addition with 3 or 4 numbers where they have to add 2 numbers together, and then add it to another 2 numbers and then group them all together as a result. So they can store numbers in their head as memory. After they've done it enough and they remember that the first number is always going to be multiplied by 10, instead of saying 5 times 10 plus 5 times 2, they'll just say 50 plus 5 times 2. And again, repeating these tricks is just a path to memorization. Okay, next is another finger trick, very reliable, called 6 even. Now this is for multiplying 6 times any even number, 2, 4, 6, or 8. And what you do is you use both hands and you put the number up that you're multiplying by 6 with each of your fingers alternating each hand. So for example, 6 times 4, you'll put up 1, 2, 3, 4. Now the numbers in your right hand represent the tens, and the numbers in your right and left hand combined represent the ones. So 6 times 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, I'll do it again, is 24. 6 times 6, for example, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that's 36. And then 4, of course, or I'm sorry, 8, 6 times 8, you count up the 8s, and that's 48, or 12, of course, 6 times 2, which is 1, 2, and that's a 10, and these two together are 2. 10 plus 2 is 12. So it works, it's reliable, it's a little redundant with some of our other tricks, but it's great for multiplying 6 times even numbers, 2, 4, 6, or 8. Okay, next trick is called thumbs up. And what this trick is for is multiplying 6, 7, or 8 times themselves or each other. And this is highlighted in the yellow part of the grid. This is the part of the grid we're going to learn right here. It also uses this part of the grid as a sort of backup. So with 6, 7, and 8, you take both hands and you hold your thumbs up. Your thumbs are 6s. Both of your thumbs are 6s. Your index fingers are 7s, and your middle fingers are 8s. This also works for 9s and 10s, but we've got better tricks for those. So whatever you want to multiply, let's say for example 6 times 7, you touch them to each other. Everything under the fingers that are being touched wraps under. The fingers that are touched plus the fingers that are above the thumb here are factored by 10. 10, 20, 30. So we got 30. And the fingers that are folded under are factored by each other. So we've got 4 times 3, which is 12. So 30 plus 12, what we're doing here is 6 times 7 is 42. 30 plus 12 is 42. And this will work for 6 times 6, which is 10, 20, plus 4 times 4, 16, 36. This will work for 8 times 8, okay, which is 60 up here, plus 2 times 2, 4 down here. This will work for any combination. Now, the one thing about this, about thumbs up, which is for 6, 7, and 8 times themselves or each other, is it assumes that you know, for the wrapped under fingers, it assumes that you know 2, 3, and 4 times themselves and each other. So if you don't know those, this is a good way to reinforce those. But it's also good to practice those in conjunction with it or ahead of time so that it doesn't become too confusing. But what you're doing is you're basically coming up with 2 results, adding them together, and then you've got your answer. All right, the next rule, okay, that's the end of the good rules. The rest of the rules are a little bit less reliable, they're a little bit less useful. You know, a lot of these rules cover a lot of different multiplication facts. Beyond that, we have a one-handed thumbs up, which this is only applicable to 4 times 8. You hold up your fingers in a one-handed thumbs up, 6, 7, 8. So that counts as 30, and then the bottom 2 are 2. It's not a very good one, but it's all we've got. And then there's 3 even. This is for 3 times 2, 4, 6, or 8. And the idea of this one is just to figure out 6 even and then divide it in half for 3 even, which is a very not a very good way of doing it. We're going to try and find better ways to do that, and sometimes it's always going to come down to memorization. The next rule is for 7 times 3 or 4. There's really no better rules for this other than to teach calendar math, and that there's 7 days in a week, and 3 weeks is 21 days, and 4 weeks is 28 days, and the month of February is the only month of the year that has 28 days in it. And that's the best we can do for 7 times 3 and 4. The final grid we didn't fill in for 11 times 11, you could use sort of like the 12 rule, where you multiply 11 times 10 is 110, and then the final 1 times 11 is 11. 11 plus 110 is 121. I hope that helps. We learned all this from a math camp the kids just took, and best of luck to all of you.